So, the European Union is making this massive bet on the future of AI. And it's a pretty bold strategy, really. It's got two parts. On one hand, they're building these really strict guardrails, to protect people. But on the other hand, they're hitting the gas on innovation. It's this high stakes gambit, and today, we're going to break it all down. At the very heart of this whole AI revolution, there's this big tension, right? Is this technology this amazing, golden opportunity for progress, or is it a Pandora's box of new dangers? Well, the EU's answer is kind of simple. It's both. And honestly, if you get that one idea, you're halfway to understanding their entire strategy. I mean, just look at the two sides of the coin. On the one hand, you've got the promise, right? AI could unlock medical diagnoses way earlier. It could literally reshape how we do science. But then there's the other side, the peril, and it's just as real. We're talking about AI making biased hiring decisions or being used for some pretty harmful manipulation. And the EU's whole position is, look, you just can't embrace the good stuff without confronting the bad. So, how exactly is Europe tackling this huge challenge? Well, the first part of their answer is a big set of rules. We're talking a comprehensive rulebook that's not just for Europe. They're hoping it sets the standard for the entire world. And that rulebook is called the AI Act. And this thing is a big deal. It's a landmark piece of legislation, literally the first of its kind anywhere on the planet. The goal? It sounds simple, but it is massive. Create a legal framework that makes sure any AI developed or used in Europe is trustworthy, safe, and actually respects people's fundamental rights. Now, what's really smart about the AI Act is that it's not some clumsy one-size-fits-all law. Instead, it sorts every single AI system into one of four categories, and it's all based on risk. The principle is super simple. The more harm it could potentially do, the stricter the rules get. Makes sense, right? Okay, so at the very top of that risk pyramid, you have stuff that's considered an unacceptable threat. And these things aren't just regulated. Nope, they are banned outright. We're talking about things like government-run social scoring systems, where they could rank you based on your behavior, or scraping the entire internet for facial images to build giant databases. All of that totally off the table. All right, one level down from that, you get what the Act calls high-risk AI. Now, these are the systems used in really critical areas where a mistake could have some pretty serious consequences. Think about it. AI that helps sort resumes for a job, or decides who gets into a university, or is used by the police, that's the stuff that falls into this category. So these high-risk systems aren't banned, but man, they have to jump through some serious hoops before they can ever see the light of day. They need these super rigorous risk assessments. They have to be trained on really high-quality data to make sure they're not biased. They need detailed documentation so we can actually understand how they work. And, this is the big one, they have to have real, meaningful human oversight. So what about everything else? Well, for what they call limited risk systems, like a chatbot, the rules are pretty light. It's basically about transparency. You just have to know you're talking to an AI, not a person. And then for the vast majority of AI out there, think spam filters or the AI in a video game, that's considered minimal risk. And you know what? They're left completely alone. The idea is to let innovation flourish where it's safe. Okay, but listen, rules are only half the story, right? A rulebook is totally useless if you don't have a team on the field ready to play. And that brings us to the second part of the EU strategy, the playbook. This is all about accelerating AI innovation. And they call it the Apply AI strategy. And if you think of the AI Act as the defense, well, this is the offense. It's this massive push to make sure European companies, especially those small and medium-sized businesses that are really the backbone of the economy, don't just use AI, but actually become leaders in creating it. And this strategy isn't just some vague wish list. No, it's highly targeted. It zooms in on 10 key industrial sectors, plus the public sector. We're talking about areas like healthcare, manufacturing, and mobility. Basically, places where AI can have the biggest possible impact both for business and for everyone's well-being. And get this, these aren't just ideas on paper. The strategy is backed by these really concrete flagship initiatives. I mean, they're talking about creating AI-powered health screening centers, launching autonomous drive ambition cities to test self-driving cars, and even, this is wild, building an AI model of the entire planet to get better climate forecasts. Pretty ambitious stuff. So here's the big question, right? Europe's got its rulebook and its playbook, but does this actually create that perfect balance for innovation we can trust? Or are these ambitious rules going to end up tripping the players before they can even get on the field? Check out this number, just 13.5%. That's the percentage of businesses in the EU that are currently using AI. And let me tell you, that's the number that probably keeps policymakers up at night. Because for all this ambition, adoption is still really low. And that brings us right to the heart of the debate about this new rulebook. You've got critics, like the Center for European Policy Studies, and they are raising a major red flag here. They're worried that the cost of actually following all these new rules for high-risk AI could be this huge, crushing burden, especially for the smaller, innovative companies that Europe says it wants to encourage. And the big concern here is that this burden isn't going to be felt equally. I mean, a huge corporation, they can absorb the compliance costs, no problem. But for a small or medium-sized business, that exact same cost could be proportionally massive. It could be enough to just crush their ability to compete, let alone innovate. So the core fears are pretty clear. First, some people argue the definitions in the Act are just too vague, and they could accidentally catch perfectly safe innovation in a net of red tape. Second, there's a real concern that these super strict requirements could slow down the arrival of life-saving medical tech. And finally, the ultimate worry is that this whole thing could backfire and actually help the big tech giants, the ones who can afford armies of lawyers to deal with it all. So, after all that, what's the big takeaway? What does Europe's grand plan for AI really mean for the future of tech? When you really boil it all down, the EU is running a massive global experiment. And believe me, the entire world is watching. The big test is this: can a major economic power actually enforce strong safety and ethical rules on a technology this powerful without sacrificing its spot in the tech race? And to manage this incredible balancing act, they're not just, setting the rules and walking away. A whole new system is being created. You can think of it like a permanent roundtable discussion. You'll have groups like the Apply AI Alliance, where policymakers and industry leaders are going to be constantly talking, debating, and trying to keep this whole experiment on the right track. And that leaves us with the one final massive question. Will the Europe way, this really intricate dance between the rulebook and the playbook, will it become the global blueprint for how to do AI safely? Or will it end up as a cautionary tale about how good intentions can accidentally stifle progress? The experiment has officially begun, and now the rest of the world is just waiting to see the results.